Welcome back to Leafy Life. I'm Susie, and this channel is my space to share my love of houseplants.
In this house, I am tending to leafy life, reaching green and bending toward the light. Leafy life, this is my leafy life.
It feels like so long since I have filmed. It is so long since I've filmed. It's the last day of these holidays here for us, and it's been 2 weeks off school. So yeah, routines have been out the window and we've been just doing our own thing, and there just hasn't been a chance to sit in front of the camera. There hasn't been much chance actually to do anything with my plants lately. So today, having got back home yesterday, I've just been catching up on laundry and tidying, putting things away, cooking some dinner for later. Just generally cleaning, tidying, and making the space feel how I like it again. I'm not good with clutter and I'm not good with mess and dirt, so I feel like looking after me means looking after looking after these spaces and keeping them clear. So that's just taken a lot of time and energy today, and I've loved it because I love tidying and I love cleaning. But yeah, kids are having a bit of screen time and just kind of flopping and vegetating, and as I've been doing, hanging up laundry, running laundry, and just emptying out bags and putting things back where they belong and things like that, I've just been kind of tinkering around with my plants, noticing some very thirsty ones. Yeah, just kind of trying to look after things when I don't feel like I've got pure focus just to have a planty day at all. So yeah, I'm actually really tired. I've been so busy non-stop, but I've just been operating on momentum, which is how I work. So I kind of just go flip from thing to thing, whatever's in front of me, clear that, get on to the next thing. But yeah, I've just been kind of looking at what has roots, looking, appreciating some new leaves, marveling at some things that have germinated and propagated, and soaking that up a little bit, and kind of making a little to-do list of things that really need my attention. Maybe not today, but over the next few days and this coming week. So I think what this video will probably end up being is just a week of catching up and looking after my plants. So it'll be a mixture, and I'm just gonna film as and when I'm doing things. So it'll be a little patchwork of plant care. The first thing that I'm definitely going to do right now is to repot my banana plant, which is right here. This lives in our little bathroom, little family bathroom, and there's a little window up there, and it loves it there. Isn't it just looking so gorgeous? This is the latest leaf right here, and it's so much bigger than any of the previous ones. Obviously, that's how it works, but I just didn't expect to see one of this size so soon. It's been putting out, I suppose, progressively bigger leaves each time. This was the one that I got really tiny little baby from Harriet's Plants back in, was that August? Beginning of September. And it's just continued to do really well. Every now and then I get a leaf die back. I have had various pests that I've had to deal with. I'm just trying to think what it's had. I think it's had thrips, and I think that's it actually. But not very badly, just one or two because it was near some other plants that were dealing with that. I've kept this dry. I'd normally keep this damper, but because I know I need to repot it, I'll just show you the roots. There we go. Yeah, because I know I need to repot it, I've just not watered it today, otherwise I would have given it a big drink. But yeah, it's looking so beautiful. I have found this to be a fairly unfussy plant. I think it does like where it is, being in a bathroom. But I mean, it's not the most humid of bathrooms because we're not all having hot showers in there every day. We have another small bathroom as well. And the kids don't have a bath every day, shockingly. I think it likes the amount of light and moisture that it does get. And I try not to ever let it dry out too much, because then it just goes droopy and doesn't look so good. But yeah, I don't want it sitting in moisture either, like sitting in a pool. The mix that it's in is just some houseplant compost, like really standard houseplant compost, and some perlite. And I'm gonna Gonna do the same again, but probably just a little bit less perlite, because I do find this actually dries out really quickly. I think because it's in quite a bright window, and yeah, it feels like a fairly thirsty plant. It does seem to suck it up quite quickly. Although I guess partly because it's in a smallish pot for the size of plant now, so maybe when it's in a slightly bigger pot it won't dry out so fast. Yeah, I'm just really appreciating this massive leaf. It's really nice to feel like this plant is now sizing up, because it was such a little baby, and I guess it's about 6-ish months ago that I got it, and yeah, I've loved every new leaf that I see coming out, and it's just rather delightful. Sorry, I'm so distracted by a dinging sound. I think it's on my son's game. Yeah, it must be. It's very distracting, and I can hear Peppa Pig theme tune too. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, just watching each new leaf has been lovely. I love watching these unfurl. They just sort of suddenly come up through the centre stem, and it's just lovely to watch them unrolling. But I just didn't expect it to get so big so soon, I guess. And it's just gonna take off from here, I think. So I guess its days are numbered in that window, because once it gets to the top of that little window alcove, I'll have to find it another home, or maybe put it down on the floor in the bathroom, but it is a very small bathroom. We'll just have to see. I can envisage it might come and live in the kitchen, because at least then it would be around like cooking pots and, you know, steam. Anyway, so this is today's first job. It's nearly 4 o'clock, and this is the first, I was going to say the first planty job I've done. It's the first kind of like big planty job I've done today. I've been doing, what have I been doing? I've been just giving little propagations some fresh water, just checking on things really. I've been giving lots of things a drink. I've given all my citrus plants a drink. They hate drying out. They were quite dry. And yeah, I still need to do quite a lot of watering. I feel like the last few weeks I've just been really behind with watering. So I did just almost lose a spider plant. I'm just bringing that from the brink. Actually, I'm taking out like the centre cutting, and I've put that into water to propagate. But yeah, I kind of just let that one go, sheer neglect. So that's a real shame. I just have been quite busy lately. Yeah, so lots of things have been very thirsty, and I hate that feeling. I don't like having that feeling where you really need to just water everything in the house at once, because that's a lot. I've got just under 200 at the moment. I have gone down from how many I did have. But yeah, I prefer to kind of water piecemeal and just keep on top of it rather than having to do a big catch up. Other planty things I've been enjoying today is just looking. Actually, I'll take you and show you, and then I'll come back to Mr. Banana. So over here in the kitchen window, I've just been sorting out this little area again. It kind of requires a regular little sort out because it's full of things that are young and propagating, and yeah, they just change quickly. Like they move on, they need a bigger pot or a new home, or they're being given away or being potted together or whatever. So yeah, this kind of changes quite a lot, and I just I enjoy tinkering over here, and I enjoy maintaining it. I like tidying and cleaning it, and just giving things fresh water, making sure things aren't too algae-ish. So that is what I've been doing over here today, just making sure everything has fresh water, washing out pots, just rearranging things to make the best use of the space. I picked up these little ramekins, a set of 4 in a charity shop just before we went away, and I thought they'd be nice for little cover pots. They are made by Ainsley, and yeah, you can bake in them, which is quite fun. I really won't be doing that. I thought they'd be good as little snack pots for the kids, but they're not going to be going into the cupboards for that. They're going to stay with my plants now. But yeah, they're quite cute. So I've been moving my little Peperomia. Sorry, all names have gone out of my head because I'm really tired and everything's gone to mush in my brain. Caparata Rosso. So yeah, these are the ones that I've just been taking off lately, and I just wanted to keep them here because if I keep things here by the kitchen sink, they are very unlikely to dry out, because I'm right by the tap and I see them all the time, and I don't have, it's not like a job to go separately and water them. So yeah, hence keeping some of these little young peperomias over here, because if they dry out, they just won't be okay. So I've just been enjoying rearranging it, looking at everything in detail, and just judging what needs to be potted on. So I've got a few things that I know I want to put up, including just back here. Oh, we have these parrot plants which I have been updating on, and they are very rooty, so they need putting up or putting into this bit. Excuse the mess, I'm still catching up on crockery stuff. But yeah, my big jungly parrot plants, which are now in full flower. So you saw me repotting these into one big pot. There you go. I was trying to show you these little parrot flowers down there. It seems to have stayed really free of pests since I put the little predatory mites here, so that's really good. But yeah, I'm loving that in one big pot together, and I found this cheap basket to put it in as well. Oh, this was another job today. I will put up a picture of what is in here. It's a little stick insect. I was checking over a little begonia earlier to see if it had any pests, see if there were any bugs on it, and I found a stick insect. So yeah, that's clearly hatched from some discarded egg, unknown to us, and it's been living under the leaf of my begonia, who knows for how long. So that needs to find a new home at some point, but my son is rather delighted to have one again, so we'll keep him for a little while, maybe a few weeks, and see how we can find a home for him. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I'm wondering about putting some of the little baby parrot plants into this pot if there's room. So there's those two there. I do also have a third one, which was a cutting it's bigger and more established, which is now becoming its own nice single plant. And I'm just debating whether to keep that separate. I think I might do, just because it's nice to have one spare if I ever want to give one away. Yeah, what I was going to show you behind here is this little Peperomia Alba vittata Rana cutting. You can see the parent leaf there is really going, but it's rooted really well to the point where it's got lovely little baby leaves coming through, and I've been meaning to put this up so you can see it really needs it. But yeah, I'm just loving all these little Peperomia cuttings. There are so many that have completely all taken off, all different kinds. So during this video at some point, it might not be today, it probably won't be today, I will show you the progress on all of these little Peperomia leaf cuttings and all the sweet baby new growth that is popping up, because it's just very exciting and very, very cute. So yeah, so that's one of the things I will be doing during this week, is just getting to these little propagations, potting them up and sorting them out in that way. So yeah, we'll look at those again in more detail another day. So I think rather than list all of the things I'm planning to do, I think it's best to just get on with them, and then as I come to them, I'll let you know what I'm up to. Because I could just waffle on so easily otherwise, with strings and strings of things I'm intending to give attention to. And yeah, better to just make a written list, focus my energy on writing it all down, and then get to each one as and when I can and show you what I'm up to. So in this big clear box, I've got my houseplant compost in the bottom. And then I've got, I don't know, you can see it easily, I'll just take the lid off and show you. I've got this cheap plastic mixing bowl, which I have rather bent to make it fit in and close down. But I tend to keep a bit ready mixed with some perlite, so that I've got the bare soil if I want it, and I've got this mix if I need it. So I generally use the more perlite-y mixture for most things. But I do like to have the option to have the compost just neat, just plain. I need to go and find a pot that is the right size for this. I'm not so worried about a cover pot. I probably don't have a cover pot that's the right size, because I always seem to have either lots of really dinky ones, or kind of medium ones, but anything bigger than this I find quite hard to come by unless I'm buying them new for a price tag that I'm not usually willing or available to spend on. So yeah, so as you can see, lots of lovely good roots, really white and healthy looking, but yeah, they need more room. So I'm just going to go and rifle outside to see if I can find a pot bigger than this one. So I'm just going to take this with me and come back with hopefully something suitable. Okay, I was able to find this pot indoors actually, so that's a bonus. So yeah, just sizing up a little bit. And I found this cover pot as well, which was actually made by a friend who does this lovely stitching of rope. I can't remember what you call that. But yeah, I've had it a few years. It has got a bit watermarked, but I think it's still a beautiful pot. And I recently took something else out of there. So let's, I still don't have a potting mat, and I would like to get one. I just haven't got around to it. So I think for now I'm just going to use the lid of this box to just contain the mess a little bit. And I'm just going to see how loose this is. I'm hoping that being dried out will help. Okay, let's see how we go. Yeah, that's coming just fine. I just don't want to whack the banana into anything. Okay. Wowzers, look at that. Lovely, lovely. I'm so proud of this plant. It really was such a little baby when I got it. It was dinky. If I have a photo of it from way back then, I'll just insert that here so you can see how tiny it was. But yeah, it was a very young little baby, and it has just matured so much and filled up this pot. Such good roots, healthy good roots. So I'm just going to start loosening as much soil off here as I can. I actually feel like that's enough. It's not like I'm trying to strip out the roots completely. I feel like it's quite precarious. Like I don't want to put too much strain on this lovely stem. So I'm going to keep some of that soil ball around those top roots. But yeah, it's not ancient compost, so I don't mind there being a little remnant there, because yeah, it's not been in there for years and years. It's a matter of months rather than years, so that's fine. It's just going to go into the new pot with that amount of older soil. So I don't want to compress the soil too much around the roots because obviously we need lots of air to get through and to not compact the soil. But because this is quite a tall and bit of a whippy stem, I just want to make sure it's not going to lean because it had got really leany in its old pot. So I was just like clamping the soil down a little bit there around the centre, but leaving the rest of the soil not too squashed. And then I'm just going to fill around that little moat that I've kind of made there. Yeah, I just don't want to have this rocking all over the place and putting a strain on the stem or the roots. There we go, that looks pretty good. I'll just zoom out for you. There we go. Looking gorgeous. I'm gonna give that a big drink now because it was quite dry before I potted it up, and then I'm gonna pop it in here and take it back to the bathroom where it will be gorgeous as ever. And I think that's it for today's planty jobs because it's kind of nearly dinner time and I need to do other things. So I'll check in with you on another day and see what planty things I'm up to then. Hello again. It's now Thursday, so several days later. It's been a busy week, but it's lovely to have some time to care for my plants today. It's a beautiful day. The sun is streaming in, everywhere is glowing, so that's really lovely. You can probably see over here a big yellow leaf, so that's what we're dealing with next. So this is just a little job that I wanted to show you because I'm just loving my carnivorous plants. I thought I'd give you a little update on them while I snip off some leaves. So this one is the monkey jar plant that I got from Coombe Garden Centre back in the autumn. It was in fabulous condition when I got it, and at the time I didn't know very much about carnivorous plants. I was just a bit excited and I should have researched them more before bringing them home or as soon as I got them home, but I just got distracted and busy, and in those early days of keeping this plant I let it dry out. It was high up on a bookshelf. I couldn't see the soil from there, so I've learnt the hard way that I need to keep my carnivorous plants where I can easily reach them at all times and where they're just in my line of sight all the time. So this half of the windowsill is all carnivorous plants. The other half is all my little citrus trees. You can see my kumquats there in fruit. Actually, it's not a very good view. I'll show you that. I'll show you that later. Anyway, this half of the window is all carnivorous plants. So I keep them all together because they all have the same care needs, and it's really nice with this group of plants to just have them all in the same place there, and yeah, just kind of as a little collection. So that's fun. So yeah, this one dried out so badly and the whole plant went really crispy. It didn't die, but it was in a bad way, and I had thoroughly let it down. But yeah, that I learned the hard way how to look after these guys. Since then it put out a little baby plant over here, just that one. So that started out absolutely tiny and just sprung up, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. And then the main plant has definitely got bigger. You can see it's kind of going up that stemmy bit, like the leaves are coming progressively higher. Has lost a few leaves along the way. They just seem to, every now and then I get a yellowing one. But yeah, the plant itself does seem happy, but it's just taken time to recover after I neglected it. And when it was putting out new leaves, it was putting out new little jars at the end, but they were just staying very tiny and not always filling up properly. But now it's really kicking off, and a few weeks ago it put out its first little jar, proper like inflated jar, which was this one, and I've just been admiring it so much, and it's like just under half full of liquid. I don't know if you'll be able to see, probably not, it's very faint, but I can see it clearly here, and I'll put in some photos of close-ups. So that one I've been watching with great interest, and then it put out a new one, and it's just so exciting because they're just getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, I love them. I just think they're magical and gorgeous and funny, and I just think it's amazing how they fill up with this acid, and it's just very cool. I love the little spikes. So yeah, that I think was the next one, and they kind of crept up on me because they were around the other side of the jar, and I looked over one day to admire one of these and suddenly saw all these other jars. So it's now getting properly full of jars and looking all jungly and lovely. So I'm just going to snip off this yellow leaf and this one that is kind of going all brown and yucky. I've got some nice little clean scissors here, so I'm just going to snip them as close in as I can get without damaging the main plant. There we go. So off they go, and then it all just looks green and gorgeous. I can see that this one actually is starting to go yellow, and I think I might just cut that one off now, because I don't think it's going to recover. I don't think it's going to push out this jar and fill it up. So I'll take that one off as well. There we go. So that's very lovely. So I've been keeping this up high because of the dangliness. So I use this like vase thing, and it just gives me a bit of height, but it still lets lots of light through for other things. But yeah, they're all filling up. This one hasn't actually opened yet, which is interesting, and it doesn't have the same spikiness as this one. So if you guys know more about this, do share your thoughts and comments. So this one's all spiky along like a little, it's kind of like got two spines down the kind of like the front of it, and then the lid is also really spiky on top. And this other one is the same as well, but then this one, so this one here and this one here, which is a lot longer, they have no spikes on them yet. Maybe just like a couple right at the back, but I'm just curious as to whether they will get spiky or not. I don't know if it's like a developmental thing, whether it will get spiky later or whether it's just not going to. I feel like it's not, because surely it would have done it in the early stages of development. Yeah, because this one, this tiny little one, looks like it's already getting really spiky before it's filled up or anything. So yeah, I'm just kind of intrigued as to why it does that, and whether it's a problem or whether it just does that for some unknown reason. So yeah, if you know, do tell. But I love how that's getting really dangly now. So it looks really jolly and gorgeous. So that's just going to go back up there. Next job for today is a bit less fun. I need to go and check on all my ivies and see how they're doing for thrips, because I noticed a fully grown adult thrip on it the other day and some thrip poo, but it didn't seem like it was overrun with them. I'm just going to see how I want to treat that this time, so I'm going to go check that out. Okay, so these 3 ivies in the hallway just dangle from the banisters, just some simple garden twine hangers. These are the ones that don't have the tassel. I don't need a lot of tassels in my life, so yeah, that's nice and simple for me aesthetically. But yeah, they've been happy here for quite a long time, and I've just been generally keeping them really damp. They don't get any bright sun, so they seem really happy with the dimmer light of this hallway. It's never very bright in this hallway. Probably looks brighter than it is on camera. It's very shady. And yeah, they're getting nice and long. I'll probably trim them at some point and put the cuttings straight back into the soil. Just seen my one pink nail from when I was painting with my daughter yesterday. So these have had a drink yesterday. They were getting pretty dry soil. I do find they dry out quite quickly, being a smaller pot, and they're quite thirsty, and yeah, they don't like to dry out. I've had ivies before where I've let them dry out and they've just gone really crispy very quickly and dropped all their leaves and never really bounced back. It does depend, I think, on the type of ivy, because these ones seem a little bit more resilient than the one that I had that absolutely flipped out, which I loved. It was a more it wasn't spiky and pointy like this. It was like a kind of teardrop shape. I have seen one in a garden centre recently, and I so almost bought it, but I just thought I wouldn't take that on at the moment, because I know that if I do just happen to not water it enough, it will just lose it with me, and I don't have time for that right now. So these ones have been, yeah, pretty unfussy, and they don't just flip out if they do get a little bit too dry. But yeah, on the whole, I'm pretty good with them, but they're just a bit more forgiving if I do forget for a day or two. But yeah, they've been really happy. I love them here. It's lovely having something green going up the stairs. I'm sure there are much more impressive and intricate ways I could do things with plants on the stairs, but this is what I've got time and attention for in my life right now. So it's time for me to get each pot out of the hangers, which I just find a bit fiddly because they're long and dangly, but I'm going to get them out and get them to the sink because they definitely do have thrips. It's not showing so badly on this one, but this top one I think has suffered the worst. You can see there's some leaves there that are in a bad way, and they are looking thrippy and speckledy with black poo. There we go, there's a couple there. So this one is actually worse than I thought, but the others I don't think are so bad. Anyway, gonna get them out, get them to the sink. So I have them all here at the sink. It was fiddly to get them out, and so I think for that reason I'm going to treat them with Provanto so that I don't need to keep coming back and redoing this job, because it's just too awkward to kind of weave the stems in and out of the hangers repeatedly. I don't mind doing it once in a blue moon, but yeah, I don't want to be doing that on a frequent basis. So I'm gonna pluck out any dead leaves or really damaged leaves, just trim those out so they're out of the way. I'm gonna give them a thorough shower down from the kitchen tap. Make sure that I just dislodge any obvious adults, just squish those and yeah, give them a good clean, and then I'll give them a spray down and probably just let them all dry off before I go and get them back into the hangers, because they'll just make the hangers wet, but also it'll dislodge the spray, so that won't be so effective. So yeah, let them dry first. So I'm going to crack on with that, and then I think that will probably be it for today's jobs, because I need to go and collect my daughter, and the things that I had hoped to do, I spent too long playing my flute and opening a parcel, and those were things that I chose to do and wanted to do, but I think I just get excited about so many things that I want to crack on with when I have a window of opportunity and time to myself, and I kind of give myself a list of things to try and get to that I really want to do, and it's not always realistic, and I think I end up hurrying or feeling disappointed that I didn't manage to squeeze something in, but I don't like hurrying. I prefer to go slowly and soak things up and enjoy them, instead of like this doesn't have to be a chore, but when I'm trying to hurry through it to get to something else, it feels more like a chore. But actually I love these plants. It's really nice to get them down and look at them closely and just be, be in my home, enjoy the light coming in and go slower. So just accepting that some of the things I wanted to get to today are going to be another day. They're not urgent, I just really want to do them. But this was more urgent because of the thrips. I don't want them to take hold any more than they are already. But yeah, I think it's nice to give you a sense of the fact that I don't have time to just be amongst my plants all the time. I am a mum of small children, and yeah, I need to cook dinners and do school runs and things, and it just breaks up the day a lot. So when I do have time, when my youngest isn't with me, there are 100 things I'd love to give my attention to, but I think I'm just learning to accept that I just need to prioritize certain things and let other things wait. But yeah, my busy brain wants to do all of it at once and like motor at 100 miles an hour and just flurry through it, or to just have an entire day and not stop. But that's not usually the case for me, so yeah. Look at these gorgeous, gorgeous leaves. This one's a fairly young one, so it's still very soft and supple and about half the size it will be. I just think these are gorgeous. I love the two-tone of green. I just love a clean plant. There's nothing quite like giving your plants a good wash and seeing them all dust-free and covered in water droplets and happy. I love ivy so much and I love having it in the house. It's just wonderful. So this is down in the sink now. All 3 different ivy plants have been washed pretty thoroughly and I can't see any more signs of anything crawling on them. I did discover a little worm in the soil. So yeah, now they're all clean. I'm going to give them a good spray down with Provanto, or I think, yeah, it is Provanto that I've got. I really don't like using the chemicals on the plants, but I feel like I just need to get these thrips out of the way, and yeah, not have to keep going back to wash them off with soap all the time. So gonna get spraying. I'm going to need to take this outside to do because down in the sink it's just not, the spray isn't reaching down in there because the bottle's getting quite empty and the angle is just too steep for it to spray down onto the leaves, and I don't want to lift the plant higher up and then get it all around my kitchen. So yeah, going to take it outside onto the front doorstep where it doesn't matter and it can't bother anything, and that should be quicker and easier. Hello, it's the next day. It's now Friday. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's about 9:15. I've just got home from the school run and I'm about to go out cleaning at a castle. And first I just want to do a bit of drum practice, but I came into the kitchen to make myself a cup of tea. Very important. And I decided that I would just wash the 3 new plants that arrived yesterday. I had a little package from Grow Tropicals yesterday. I'm not showing you an unboxing because I just wanted to get straight to them and admire them. But I'll show you them now. I've just washed them and I'm just finding pots for them. So I have 2 Hoya and a Peperomia. Very exciting. This is the Hoya, one of the Hoyas. So this is a Hoya gracilis or Hoya memoria, 12 centimetre pot. It's got some new growth just here, so that's nice. Can't really see it from this angle, can you? Swivel it round, there we go. So yeah, it's really, really lovely. I've got a Hoya pubicalyx upstairs, but it's a splash. It was a cutting from the plant spot back in September, and it is growing, it's doing really well, it's putting out new shoots, but it is still very small. So I would say this is similar leaf shape, similar patterning to that. And I'm just appreciating that style of Hoya so much, just because they're so simple, so beautiful and elegant. So I kind of just wanted more of the same, but not the same. So I chose this one. So that's glorious. I think that's going to go in my workroom. I just really wanted something dangly from a shelf I've been organising in there and putting in some extra furniture for storage. It's a tiny, tiny room, so it has to work really hard to store all of my craft things, and it also has my drum kit and my flute stand, and it's just, it's a creative, busy, packed little space. Anyway, so that's what I wanted that for. This is the other Hoya. Isn't that just so cute? This is a little Hoya Mathilde. In a previous Grow Tropicals unboxing video, you may have seen me opening the Tuque, which is very related to this. So this mixed with something else, which I did mention at the time and have since forgotten, yeah, kind of combined to make the Tuque. So it's very, very similar. It's got almost identical leaf shape, but it's much paler. The Tuque is kind of like much darker green. This is paler, and it has the mottling pattern, which is just beautiful. There's quite a lot of variation from these really heavily mottled ones to the little dappled ones there. But yeah, I just love the shape, so rounded, but with a very subtle little pointed bit at the end. And I just love this size of plant. I just think that young baby Hoyas are so cute. I just think that they're adorable, and this one just looks so perfect. It's little, but it's quite full, and yeah, it's exquisite. I love it. It's just really chummy. And then the last one, the Peperomia. So this one, it's rather a treat because it's quite rare and it's not something you would find everywhere. And it was on sale on their website. So this is the SP Ecuador. It's a climbing one, I believe. The leaves are quite thick for the size of them, but yeah, very pointed and very beautiful. So it's just very delicate and dainty. Dainty is the word I was looking for. Adorable. So I'm going to find some cover pots for these two and decide where they're going to go. Obviously the Peperomia should go in the Peperomia corner, but there is no space there. It is completely packed. I might keep this on my desk in my workroom because I want to keep it out of the sun, but it does get lots of bright and direct light in there, and if I keep it at my desk I can't forget about it because I am getting to my desk much more regularly now. Now that I've done a big clear out, a reorganisation, it's very inviting. I'm not using that little room as a dumping ground anymore, so it is just a very open, inviting, workable space, and I am, yeah, spending lots of time at my desk. Well, not like hours and hours in succession, but I am getting there regularly, pretty much, yeah, every day, usually a couple of times a day, even if it's just for a few minutes. It's lovely to get to that space. So if I put that there, it will reliably be watered, because we know that, you know, peperomias don't like to be overwatered, but they really don't like to be underwatered either, especially young, small pots. You know, it's very easy for them to go past the point of no return. So yeah, gonna keep that under close watch. So off to find some pots. this is a shelf in my workroom where I keep a load of pots, so I'm just going to have a little rummage. I do have some smaller ones. I think I've been using up all my favourites lately, so yeah, but there is something that will practically work, so I'm just going to have a rummage and see what I feel like putting them in. I've picked out these two, and they're not actually what I really want at the moment. They're a bit busy, and I'd prefer something really plain, especially for, well, yeah, for both of them, but I was going to say especially for the little peperomia because it's so dainty and little, but I think, yeah, I just feel like having something plain in my workroom, so I'm going to go swap these for something that's on the kitchen windowsill, swap them over, and these can be on the windowsill instead. This little alocasia is one that I got in Pilea plant shop in Froome back in the autumn, and yeah, it was doing okay, and then it just kept losing leaves until the point where it only had one leaf left for quite a long time, months in fact. And then it was absolutely delightful to have this extra leaf push out recently, which has stayed, and there's a new point there. Yeah, you can just see it in there, so that's very lovely. And it does look nice in this pot, but I just really want something simple for the other plants. So I'll whack that in the little piggy pot for now. I'm sure I'll have another shift round imminently, and yeah, I really thought I had enough of the tiny plain pots, but I think I can never have enough of those. There we go. I just wanted to be sure that they were in the right pots. I know I'm very fussy and finicky. I think when I've got something going on with a plant like a pattern like this on the leaves, I just like to have as plain a pot as possible. I think that my visual attention gets very overwhelmed very quickly, and that's why I tend to choose very plain pots. I just want to have the plant in something that I almost don't notice, but I don't notice it because it is plain and restful to my eyes. Whereas if it was patterned or a colour I don't appreciate, then I would be very distracted by that and not kind of enjoy looking at the plant so much, because that would be in my vision. So yeah, that's really, I think, why I have so many pots that are basically white or very pale cream. I do like kind of texture, just simple textures like these ridges. But yeah, it does depend on the plant, I think. So if a plant is very plain like this, you know, it's got it doesn't have really any texture or patterning or variegation. It's just very plain and simple and elegant. So the ribs are kind of complementary. It does have a little groove down it, so that actually kind of matches. Not that it has to match, and I am just waffling on now about pots. But yeah, I'm very happy with those two, and I'm just going to keep all of these three in this room for now, and let them get used to their new surroundings. Time for some tea. Yeah, let them acclimatise. They only arrived yesterday and they were very cold. The postman left them with my neighbour, even though I was sitting at my desk right by my front door and the cars were on the driveway. He did not even knock or ring the bell, or I don't know what was going on there, but maybe he just got the number of the house wrong. Anyway, my neighbour signed for it, and I got a message saying that it was signed for by my surname, and there was a photo of it, and I was like, that's not my doorstep. So we had to go looking, and yeah, it had been delivered, but it had been left out in the cold for a while, so They were very chilly when they came inside, but hopefully they'll be fine. It wasn't like it was for overnight or for days and days or anything, but it was just a bit of a weird mystery because we have had the postman come to our house many times and it was a bit random. I didn't really understand why he'd left it next door. Anyway, so hopefully they will just carry on being really healthy and get well established and just thrive here. So I probably won't keep them right there in that spot, but I'll find a little corner for them and just enjoy having something else green in my workroom, because that makes it really, really lovely. As for planty jobs today, I'm hoping to put up some propagations that are ready to go into soil. I've pulled them off my kitchen windowsill area, so I know which ones I want to do, but it's just whether I have time and energy later. As I said, I'm off to clean a castle for a few hours now, so we'll just see how that goes, but that's the aim, and we'll see how it pans out. So when I got back from the castle, I was whacked out, and I still am. I've taken some time to eat and rest, because I know that doing the school run is going to be tiring as well, and it'll be non-stop until bedtime after that. So yeah, just taking some time out to be still and be quiet. There was a lot of actually really hard scrubbing at the castle, and yeah, I was just on the go for lots of hours, very physically. So yeah, but I did take some time to stop and just admire my surroundings at the end, just on the way home, just enjoying what was growing in the cracks and stones in the ruins. And yeah, so I've just put that together for you guys to enjoy, because I think you'll like all the beautiful natural leafy loveliness, and kind of gorgeous little weedy beauties. It is one of my favourite things to see. Just things like dandelions and daisies just growing wherever they want to. They always just, nature reclaims its space, doesn't it? And it's lovely to see things crawling around old bits of stone and cracks. And yeah, so I just took a few moments to enjoy that and some fresh air before coming home. So I hope you enjoy seeing that and relax with that. And I will see what opportunity I have to do potting up these propagations. I'm really desperate to get to them. It might end up being an evening, I think, which is always a shame in terms of like showing the plants to you in natural daylight, because you can see them so much better in daylight. But we'll see. We'll get to them when I can. I'm finally sitting amongst my little propagations ready to pot them up. The sun's just come out. It's been so grey. It's been dark. In fact, I lit candles, it's so dark, but it's suddenly sunshiny, so that's good timing. I have a tray full of little plants that would like to get into some lovely soil. I've actually got everything really organised so that I've got all my pots to hand, so I don't have to keep dashing away from the camera, and I can just stay in one place, hopefully. I really hope I haven't forgotten anything, but I've done a lot of house cleaning, mopping and hoovering and picking up and dishwasher, and finally got settled down here. So I would love to just stay down here now that I'm here. I have plain houseplant compost. I've got a little bit that's got some perlite mixed in. I've got more perlite, which is pre-soaked, so it shouldn't be too dusty right now, hopefully. I have all my little pots out from my little like storage unit. I have something to make mess upon, which is the lid of my soil box. And I have my tray full of plants, and I've been through and thought about which size of pots I want to pot them into. So they're all sitting ready, all ready. So I have all the pots on the tray ready with them ready to go. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is tip out the ones that have been growing in perlite, and yeah, just tip that out. And I was going to say maybe tip that out into a bowl, which would mean getting up. So I'm just going to find a corner of this lid to tip that onto, because it is really nice to be still. I spend so much of my days dashing about from one thing to another that it's rare that I stay in one place for very long. So I'm going to soak that up today. So all the ones that were growing in perlite, I think it's all just Peperomia leaf cuttings. So this one was a bubble peperomia. I took a few of these, so I'll show you the others. This one, it's hard to see amongst the white perlite, but there's lots of good roots there now. It doesn't yet have a leaf on this one, but the other ones do. But I'm just going to knock the perlite off that in a minute, or well, not knock it off, but I'll probably have to just gently tease it out and yeah, then get it into soil. So anyway, there's actually a leaf of that was growing in water too, which I will show you. The leaf itself is starting to decay a bit. I think it had a bit of damage, but there we go. So yeah, some little roots. And I think as I'm putting the rest of these up, I'm just gonna get this one into soil now, because I know that it's successful. I know that it's taken, and it will continue to grow, and just it's quite nice to do it all together where possible. I can actually see at the base of this stem the tiniest little pricks, the tiniest little dashes of green. They're like the size of a baby thrip. I don't even know if the camera will pick that up, but you might just have to believe me. I'm not going to take a photo because the camera's here recording, but yeah, they're just all clustered on the tip of the little stem. So that's going to be great growing. And then I've got this one here. Right, let's try and show you better. So these are 2 half leaf cuttings. So I snipped them in half and put them cut edge down into the perlite. And you can see all the little babies. Oh, and I'm dripping. Okay, oh my gosh, there's one round on this side too now. Will it be able to show you? There we go, tiny one there. And then in between, behind that leaf, another one, and behind that leaf too. Aren't they adorable? So this is just so lovely because I've never propagated this type of peperomia before, and I hadn't until recently done half leaf cuttings. I have found that compared to a leaf cutting with a bit of stem, they have been slower and they have been less reliable. I've had more that have rotted. I've done them straight into soil and I've done them straight into perlite. I think the ones in the perlite have had a higher success rate because they just seem to have less chance of rot. Yeah, anyway, oh my gosh, it is adorable to see these tiny, tiny bubbly leaves. They're just adorable. So I've been propagating peperomia for a while, different type, well, mainly the Rana Verde before. But just these past few months, I've been propagating more types of peperomia, and they've all kind of started rooting and putting out new leaves at the same kind of time, roughly. And it's just lovely. I have this sudden harvest of baby peperomia, and seeing the baby tiny versions of your favorite plant, it's just so much fun. And obviously, they're all just slightly different, but they're all working with the same process. So if you know how to take peperomia cuttings, then you can do that from most peperomia. But I do find that some have worked better than others. But having a sudden success of loads of different peperomia, I can't even say the word peperomia, all starting to sprout new baby leaves at once is just adorable. And I think particularly because these leaves on the bubble peperomia are so bubbly, they're so textural and just like they're really 3D. I know the camera isn't picking up brilliantly. I will take some photos like close-ups once these are potted, I think. But yeah, just the baby little bubbly leaf. It's just adorable. So these ones are smaller and much, much cuter, but this one is just getting really developed with the bubbles, and I wish I could show you a clear... I'm going to take the camera down and show you. There we go. Now you can really see how big and bulgy the grown-up leaves are, and then this tiny little baby, if I just swivel it into the light, and you'll get to see different angles of it to see how bubbly it is. And then round the other side we've got these cute ones around the back, adorable. They're very lime green with this kind of browny red veining throughout. And then this one is the biggest baby leaf so far, and look how amazingly bubbly that is. I'm going to tilt it so you can see across it as well. It's so bubbly. I just think that is amazing. I'm so glad that these have worked. There you go, that's a better view of them. I'm so glad they've worked, and it's really fun that I'm going to have a whole new plant. So maybe I can spread them amongst other people who might appreciate them. I think I'll have to keep one though, because it's always good to have an insurance plant if you really love the plant, and it's really lovely to keep a plant that you've propagated and see it then grow and be mature. So yeah, so I guess I'll have about four of these. So I thought as I had the camera down from its tripod, I would show you the one that I was talking to you about before. So this is the one that was rooting in water, and you can just see the stem right at the tip there. It has these little bright green, teeny, minuscule leaves. They're just so tiny. Oh, so cute. So I'm going to get on with emptying out the perlite from these ones. So just while I'm removing the perlite from amongst these roots, I thought I should say I don't really need to get every last bit off because it's going to go into a pot of slightly perlitey soil anyway. Yeah, so I'm just not needing to do a totally thorough job. I've just got all the perlite off those guys, and they're ready to pot up. I've taken some close-up photos which I'm just putting in here for you because they are just immaculate. I feel like everyone in the world should just have a chance to look at them. They are so cute, so tiny, so perfect. I think if you feel like there is no magic in the world, just buy yourself a peperomia and do a leaf cutting, either from a stem or from a half leaf cutting, and just watch the magic happen, because it really is tremendously, miraculously lovely to see these tiny little leaves appear from almost nothing. It's just like they're just these amazing beasts, really. It's like those little, is it axolotls that regrow limbs? Like this leaf, it's got nothing. It's just, yeah, it just produces its roots, and then from the roots it just shoves up these new leaves. Like it's just amazing. I think peperomia are fantabulous. If you've seen this channel before this video, you'll know that I love peperomia, and yeah, today I'm just more in love with them than ever because just I'm meeting all these little tiny baby leaves, baby plants, and it's really, really fun. So I hope you had fun looking at the close-ups. And I'm going to carry on showing you the other pots actually, because I've got these 4 bubble peperomias all ready to put up, but I think rather than pot them up and then go back to the tray, I'm just going to start getting everything off and getting it all ready to put up, and then just do a mass soily put up at the end. So what's to show you next? We're going to go with Rana Verde. So this is the Peperomia albovetata Rana Verde with a splendidly brown leaf there. So that's just going to, oh, there we go. Yeah, it's off. I thought it was going to pull off really easily. So that was the parent leaf, and then you can see all the teeny little green leaves in there are the baby ones. This seems to have got quite dry. It's not too bad actually. So I'm just going to tip that out and then I'll show you the baby. So because I don't have the parent leaf and stem to hold on to, this is just ridiculously tiny little plant. Oh my gosh, I could put this in such a tiny little pot and it'd be like a little doll's house plant. Oh my goodness, I love tiny things. Always have, always will. This is so cute, but it's so the larger bits of perlite look like absolute rocks compared to these leaves. Let's see if I can get it to focus for you. There we go, teeny little leaves. I think I am gonna just find a tiny little, I might have a tiny little terracotta pot. I've probably already put something in them. I will see. I think I've got a plastic one. We'll see what I can do. But yeah, anyway, that's gonna come free of some perlite and go into a tiny pot. There we go. Teeny little baby peperomia with lots of good roots. Next, I have more of the Rana Verde. So this one is one that I took quite a long time ago. It's a very yellow parent leaf now, and it's been in water for a little while. So I'll just get rid of that pot. There we go. Lots of good leaves clustering around those roots now, and lots of good roots, like loads of roots. So yeah, in some ways I don't like putting these up from this type of cutting. Like if I've already put it straight into soil, then I just watch them emerge. But when they've happened in water or perlite, and then have to kind of like cover up this tiny little forest again and let it come up. But I guess I'll just be putting it fairly shallowly so they don't get too smothered, but the roots need to get under the surface, obviously. There's that one. Okay, and then these ones are the same, but they're much more recent, but they have rooted and they have got teeny tiny leaves on each one. So I might, I could put all of these together, but I won't. I'm going to do them individually. Oh, I could do them as a nice little Rana Verde forest in one pot and be really, really full quite quickly. That is very tempting. Or I could just do little cute individual pots, and they will still grow and fill out. It'll just take a bit longer to fill out. I think I'm going to do that because then there are just more options. I can always repot them together later, but I think this will be nice because if I want to give them away, then that's a bit easier. Okay, the last peperomia cuttings that I've got to put up today, whoop, too drippy, is this one. This is the Caparata Rosso. So these are both leaf cuttings, and it's quite nice to show you this actually because one is a leaf cutting from with a stem, which you can see clearly there, and that's got all its own little leaves coming here. And then this one is a half leaf cutting. That's the top half, the pointed half of the leaf, and that's got all its babies in front of it there. So this was in perlite. It's had a little reservoir pot of water under it, and yeah, it's doing really well. What was I going to say? I've got lots more cuttings like this of both types, the half leaf and the stem cutting, but they're actually already in soil, so they're just going to stay there on the kitchen windowsill and yeah, stay in situ. They don't need any attention because they're already rooted in soil. So I'll just get the perlite off here. So now you can see them in the individual little clumps. They really are like little miniature forests, aren't they, Peperomia? When they pop up, they really do just quickly have a lot of leaves from one spot. It's amazing. So different from a lot of other types of propagations and ways that other plants grow. So those guys are now all out of their perlite, and the other propagations were all just in water, so they're just ready to go. So I'm going to get doing that. So I think what I'm going to do, while I'm just putting these all up at once, I'll bring you down low so you can watch what's going on up close. I'll probably put on some nice gentle music as well. And I think when I'm editing, I will answer some questions from you guys and talk over the putting so you can listen to that while that's happening. And yeah, just take time and be chatty. So I hope you enjoy seeing these guys all get into their little pots that they're going to be in for a while. I don't know where they're all heading. I think a lot of them are going to stay here living with me because I love them. But where I've got some duplicates, I will probably look for some homes for them at some point, but I'm not like in any hurry to clear them out. Okay, potting time. So, getting on to some questions from you guys. The first one is asking about how or why I started a YouTube channel. So, quite a few months ago, before I got started on this, I started this channel back in September 2023, by the way. Yeah, in the few kind of just weeks leading up to that, I had been messaging a friend about our stick insects, and she was a friend that I hadn't seen very often. And instead of messaging by texting and type, I had recorded a voice message to send her. It's a way that I've communicated with quite a few friends ever since my friend Jodie, who actually wrote the theme music for this channel, by the way, ever since she recorded me a little voice message during lockdown, I think it was, as a way to stay in touch. And it was so lovely. It was something that we realised worked really well for the two of us, and I started doing it with friends as and when it felt appropriate, really, because sometimes with small children around and things like that, I have sometimes found it hard to do long messages when I want to reply to friends and keep in touch. And I also find it quite tiring to type and to concentrate on not getting a load of typos with autocorrect. So yeah, it's been a really lovely way to communicate with friends just when I've got a moment. It can be just a quick thing or sometimes a really long waffly thing where I'm just updating someone on what I'm doing because they'd like to know how I'm doing. And it's just been a really nice free flow way to chat in a message. And the nice thing is that it's really flexible for the other person. Like, they can just listen when they can. They don't need to suddenly type back. They can just listen to it at leisure. And if they feel like recording a response, then that's lovely, either straight away or later. Or sometimes just they'll send a quick message back saying, "Oh, thanks, that's really great to hear your updates. I'll reciprocate sometime." So yeah, for me that's been something that's been lovely for quite a long time. And as I make new friends, sometimes that becomes something that I do with them as well. So yeah, this particular friend I'd met, I don't do a lot of parties, but I'd been to a friend's Christmas party, and it was very out of character for me to want to go to a party, but they were just particularly lovely people, and they created a really lovely, welcoming atmosphere. And I ended up chatting to this lady and making friends with her, but then not seeing her for months and months, and just messaging. So one day I'd messaged her about these stick insects that we'd been keeping for a while, and she'd agreed to take some off our hands because there were so many of them and we'd been looking for homes for them. So she showed an interest, and in giving her some long-winded instructions on how to keep them and what they could eat and all of that kind of jazz, I decided it was easier to just record a message, and so that's when that started. And yeah, so I recorded that message for her, and didn't know if she'd think that was weird or not. And her reply was to say thank you for the information, but also that she'd really enjoyed listening to the message and that she'd found it so relaxing that she'd listen to it again to relax and to fall asleep to, and hoped that I didn't find that weird. And of course I didn't. And I found it a huge compliment. I've actually always been really self-conscious about my voice. I don't have a good singing voice, and my voice doesn't naturally project very far. I find talking very physically draining. I find that if I raise my voice to a loud volume, it just my throat just feels tired and achy, and I feel a bit lightheaded. I don't know if that's going to sound very, very weird to everyone, or if that's the same for other people too. But yeah, I found that being complimented on my voice was vastly encouraging, and she also said, "Oh, I think you should record audiobooks." So I replied to say, "Well, of course I can't record audiobooks. Like, you need to be a known person, you know, a voice actor or something to be asked to record something as wonderful as a published lovely book." But it was really sweet of her to say that, and it actually did huge amounts for my confidence in myself to be told by someone that they liked my voice. And when she said that, I thought, well, if I can't do audiobooks, what could I do that could be a way that I use my voice to be relaxing for people? And she suggested podcasts, which I did vaguely look into, but I found it all a bit overwhelming and I didn't really think it was for me. And so then I just started thinking about YouTube, and I thought, well, what would I do if I had never ever thought that I would do anything on YouTube. Quite the reverse. I'd really thought I never would. But I started thinking about it and thought, you know, what would I cover if I was ever going to do something on YouTube? And this friend suggested, oh, talk about stick insects. And I thought, well, the stick insects are well and good, but I don't think I really have enough information to keep that going as a channel. So I thought about my own interests, and obviously houseplants was a fairly obvious thing to think about sharing with other people, and I just kind of got excited about that and decided to launch into talking about some plants on a kind of practice video. So I think one evening I just got comfy and started wittering at the camera, and I didn't have a tripod or anything. It was bad lighting. I still have that video. I uploaded it to YouTube just as a kind of practice thing, and it was very terrible, really awful sound quality, and the waffliest thing you could ever wish to hear. But it was me practicing talking to nobody, and to talk to a screen and to hear my voice when I wasn't focusing on someone else listening, but to just talk to nothing. So that was something that I initially found a really bizarre feeling. I was very self-conscious. I overthought it a lot, and it was kind of weird. It wasn't uncomfortable. It was just very new, and I did enjoy it. And it made me want to then get on and record a proper video. And I let my husband know that that's what I'd been up to that evening. He'd been busy with something. I think he was working at his desk that evening, and I'd just been quietly getting on with that. And I said what I'd been doing, and he said, I just assumed you were on the phone to someone because you just sounded really chatty and happy. So that was nice to have that feedback as well. So yeah, I just kind of naturally, that's how it happened. I didn't plan it. I didn't give it a great deal of thought, but it just became something that, based on a suggestion from a friend, I started to think about it, and that felt like something fun to try. So once I had made my first video and I was pleased with it and I'd enjoyed editing, I was just raring to get on with it, and I was, I guess, pretty quickly addicted to it. It made my brain very happy. I enjoyed the filming side of it, I enjoyed the planning side of it, I enjoyed the editing. And yeah, I just had a lot of ideas of things that I wanted to cover. I wasn't really looking at what other YouTubers had done. I was just making the videos that I wanted to make, that I found interesting, in the hopes that it might at least be relaxing to people or interesting. And I didn't expect to get a big audience, but it was just something that I wanted to do in my own time and to just experiment with really. I've never been a performer of any kind. Like I said, I don't have a strong singing voice. I don't like being on stage. And I'm someone who enjoys the company of people very much one-on-one as my preference rather than in a large group. And it was just something that I wanted to explore and see whether I enjoyed it long term. And I really, really have. The next question was, are there any types of houseplants I would actively avoid owning and growing? And I think there probably are. I wouldn't necessarily say that they fall into an exact clear kind of genus exactly. I think really just a vague sort of answer is that I would avoid anything that is too fussy, anything that would need a cabinet environment, because I have neither the space nor the inclination to possess a cabinet. I don't really want to dedicate any space in my house to that. I don't, for me, enjoy the aesthetics of a cabinet setting, and I don't really relish the thought of faffing around with cables for fans and lighting and things like that. It's just not something that interests me, and I like to see my plants right in front of me without glass in the way, if that makes sense. I would find that a bit faffy, and I wouldn't enjoy looking at my plants through glass. So I don't want to grow anything that really needs to have that cabinet environment. So that's one kind of thing that I avoid. I avoid a lot of cacti and succulents simply because I don't really enjoy looking at them. There are exceptions to that, and I do have some cacti and some succulents. Mostly they are belonging to my son because he particularly enjoys them. But there are one or two that I really like. I'll try and put some photos in here because I did actually get a couple kind of semi recently. But yeah, I don't generally enjoy looking at those quite so much. I just prefer things that are quite luscious and leafy. Yeah. Also, I know they're not considered difficult to look after, but I enjoy watering, and I've always found it hard not to overwater cacti and succulents, and so I either overwater or underwater. In my effort not to overwater, I sometimes end up underwatering them. So yeah, I have found that I haven't completely got to grips with those, so I don't feel like I'm very confident with those. I would also avoid anything really rare. I don't want to spend a lot of money on any one houseplant, unless it was a very mature, very big plant, which I'm kind of unlikely to do normally. But yeah, I don't want to be out buying things that are rare and that have a hefty price tag just based on that. I just, that's not really what I'm growing plants for. I'm not trying to build a collection that needs to contain certain things. I'm really just growing plants that aesthetically I like and that I enjoy growing. So I think that kind of answers that question in a sideways kind of way, that I want to enjoy the growing of the plant as well as the actual visuals of the plant. And my husband asked me the other day, what do you actually enjoy growing the most? And there are certain types of plants I love the most, like Hoya and Peperomia. But I really enjoy growing plants that grow. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I enjoy seeing new growth, and I enjoy seeing a plant get bigger. I enjoy seeing the evidence that a plant is healthy and that it's not struggling. I enjoy seeing plants that are in good condition without it being something that is really complicated to achieve. partly because I have other interests too. I love being surrounded by houseplants, but it's not the only thing I'm interested in doing with my spare time or my downtime, which is in this stage of my life quite limited compared with a lot of people who don't have children or whose children are at school full time, or anyone in lots of walks of life. But I think I'm not the only person who has very limited downtime, and I know that will change for me over the coming months. Once my youngest is in school, I will have more time in the week, and things will be a little bit different, a little bit of a different balance of life, sort of coming soonish. But yeah, it's houseplants and looking after houseplants is just one of the things that I really, really enjoy in life. I love to draw, I love to write, I love photography, I love being in nature, I love knitting, I love reading, and yeah, I love cooking. There are lots of things that I really love doing, all of which feed my soul and make me happy in different ways. And I I don't like being pinned to just enjoy one of them for a long, long time. I like to kind of flip between them and go with what is kind of feeling nice and doable in the moment that I have. And I think these kind of interests do come in certain seasons. I'll kind of flow between one or two at a time. At the moment, I'm really wanting to draw a lot, and I've not drawn for a long time very consistently because when my first child was born, that was then, full time being in charge of a small person, and that's been kind of the way ever since. So this has really become very waffly. It's not really answering the question very faithfully, but it's just trying to give a little bit of a kind of realistic view of the fact that I'm not just here tending my plants all day long and being an expert on on every type of plant. There are loads of plants I haven't even tried growing yet. I think now that I've talked quite at length about this, I would say that one type of plant that I would probably avoid at the moment is anthuriums. I don't currently know very much about them. I do have one little anthurium and I can't remember its name. It's actually doing fine, but it's been growing quite slowly. But yeah, as a genus, I don't know very much about them, and I can't say hand on heart that I visually appreciate all of them. But it's one of those things, I really enjoy seeing other people growing a wide variety of things that I wouldn't necessarily grow myself, but I enjoy seeing them there. And I think some of the mistakes I've bought plant wise in the past are plants that I have maybe aspired to because I've seen them in other people's collections, and I think they're beautiful, but I don't necessarily find them my taste long term. So sometimes I might find something visually exciting for a short while, but living with it, I eventually become bored of it. And I think that's why I gravitate towards plants that have a much simpler aesthetic. And yeah, I think it's just a group that doesn't particularly excite me right now, and I would probably avoid it because I haven't done enough research on that genus to know exactly what they like. But yeah, I think I wouldn't ever say I will never buy this type of plant about any type of plant really. I think it's a bit like my taste in music. I like different songs and artists from lots of different genres, and it's not one particular genre that I love, but I can like one song by an artist but not like any of their other songs. And yeah, that's just how my taste works really. I don't think I can put my appreciation in a box or label it very easily sometimes. It's just if I like it, I like it. And the last question for now is about houseplant books. I was asked, can I recommend a houseplant book that I have that I love? So I actually did kind of answer this question by making a whole video about it, and it's the previous video to this one. So yeah, if you would like to know all about my houseplant book collection, then check out that video. But just as a quick answer on here, basically I have the Plantopedia book, I have a book about moss, I have the Houseplant Expert, and I have a vintage houseplant book that my dad worked on in the 70s, which I really love, and it's really, really, it's actually really good and lovely. Since making that video, I do also have the Hello Tiny World terrarium book by Ben Newell, which was just published yesterday, in fact, and that's really exciting. It looks beautiful and it looks really comprehensive and full of really good detailed facts. So I'm looking forward to looking at that more properly soon. And there was something else. Oh, I picked up a Kokedama book in a charity shop last week, and it's beautiful. I will try and post a photo of it here if I can. I think I'll probably have to go and take a photo. But yeah, that's a really nice looking book. It's probably not something that I will pursue because I feel a bit saturated by my existing interests right now, and I don't feel ready to take on something new with planting at the moment. So I might give it away either to a friend, or I might take it to the plant swap in case someone there would like it. It looks beautifully produced, and I think I'll have a quick flick through, but that won't be staying with me forever. So yeah, check out my video about houseplanting books if you would like to see more details. Okay. I also wanted to take a moment to tell you about my Etsy shop. It's very exciting for me. I've opened an Etsy shop for the first time, and I'm selling my illustrations, my drawings, my DIY fairy packs. Those are where you buy a fairy and you cut it out, colour it in, add loads of sequins and decorations, and usually lots of added extras, some of which I've made. But you personalise your fairy, and they're all different. So I've done Christmas elves, I've done an Easter bunny, I've done pumpkin fairies, snowball fairies with tiny little white pom-poms, things like that, a Valentine's fairy, and yeah, I've just released some tooth fairies. Because my eldest has been losing a lot of teeth, about 6 in the past year, and he's got one hanging by a thread right this moment. We're off to the dentist later, just as a checkup, but maybe they'll pull it out because it's been hanging around a long time. That is a big aside. But yes, I've been enjoying making tooth fairies as these DIY packs, and they're selling in my local bookshop, and they're also available on my Etsy shop. So I'll put a link in case you feel like checking them out. No obligation, but if you're curious, then go have a look. But also, I've been getting back down to drawing some plants, and I could not resist drawing my little Hoya Matilde that arrived a few days ago. It's so beautiful. It was calling to me. So I've been working on that. It's not finished yet. But yeah, that's my little Hoya Matilde. It's so cute. Yeah, that's a work in progress. When it's finished, I'm going to scan it and get it printed locally and get that turned into some greetings cards, some postcards, and some prints as well. And I'm hoping to do a series of Hoya. I've got a couple, I've got my eye on at home here that I really want to have a go at drawing, but I'm also really itching to draw some of my peperomia. So yeah, I might do some like little postcard sets. So we'll see. I will definitely let you know on here when I've updated my shop with planty cards in case you're interested. But yeah, for now, there's just a couple of things over there if you want to go and have a look anyway. So yeah. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and like, share, follow and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye! What was that creak? Oh, it's the table. Bye!